I'm trying an experiment today. Hello there, my frugal friends. I'm experimenting in the kitchen. I really like kimchi, you know, fermented Korean cabbage and vegetables. Really, really tasty. It's really good for you as well. Really good for your gut bacteria and all those kinds of things. However, I've been struggling to find it either at a reasonable price or it's got fish sauce in it. So we don't eat anything like that. So I've been looking for a vegetarian version of kimchi that I can make at home. And I found a food YouTuber called Manji, who is amazing. She's got millions of subscribers, really, really good, really clear on recipes. And I thought I'd give a go at their recipe for kimchi. Now, as usual, I don't have all the ingredients that I need. I'm missing gochugaru, which is Korean hot chili flakes. I do have gochujang, which is fermented chili paste. So I'm thinking of substituting some of that with just some regular chilies that I've got in, dried chilies, and seeing what I come up with. I've had a look online and it says you can substitute out the gochugaru for other things, and including, you know, just general red chilies. So that's what I'm planning to do. The other thing I've not got is I couldn't find a Chinese cabbage, which is a taller cabbage with very frilly leaves, but you can use other cabbages. So I found a cabbage when I was at Unicorn Grocery, and I've got a kohlrabi to go in there as well, and I've got some carrots. So let's get experimenting. So this is the cabbage that I ended up choosing because I thought it looked nice and frilly and was a nice dense cabbage, and I thought, well, let's give this a go. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chop off just this little end because we don't need that. Get rid of that. Then we're going to go into quarters. And again. And then basically just chop this up into bite-sized pieces. So I'm just going to, there's a little bit of dirt in there, but that's fine because the whole thing is going to get, oh, actually, I might give it a little bit of a wash under the tap first. Let's go and do that first. Right, I've given that a bit of a rinse. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to chop it into pieces. Anything that's really mega chunky, I'm just going to chop a bit smaller. So there we go. So I'm just going to chop all the rest of this cabbage up, and it's going to go into, if you see over there, my massive bowl, because we're going to use that to rinse and salt the cabbage, so we need plenty of space to be able to do that. Right, the next things that's going in, so I've chopped all this up, it's all a pretty decent bite size pieces, is we're going to sprinkle in, oh Tilly cat, you're so noisy. I have fed her, she is not starving, I promise. That is 1 cup of water, and then this is the scary bit, is 6 tablespoons of salt. But please remember that this is just to bring out the excess water in the cabbage and will be rinsed thoroughly. Obviously some of it will remain, but the majority of it will get rinsed off. So that's 2 spoonfuls, and I'm just going to give it a bit of a shake so that we get it all over. I will go in with my hands as well and make sure that it is all mixed up. And then, like I say, we're going to leave this to just kind of do its thing for a couple of hours, just to draw as much water out of it as possible. So 5 and 6. There we go. Let's give that a little mix, and I'm just gonna pop that on the side and leave it alone for a bit. In the meantime, what we're going to do is I am making the paste. So this paste starts with 2 tablespoons of flour, and I'm just going to pop the heat on, and we have got 1 cup of vegetable stock that we're going to pour in. So I'll give that a little bit of a rinse because some of it stayed at the bottom. Yeah. And we just mix this and mix it until it starts to thicken and goes into a paste. So I know this is going to take a little while because things like this do. So I will just keep mixing this and I will bring you back once we are done. This has thickened into a paste now. I've just kept stirring it every couple of minutes. In the meantime, I was chopping my vegetables while it was doing it. But I'm going to add a tablespoon, of sugar to that. And then just give it a mix again. And just leave that doing its thing for a minute. In the meantime, let me show you what I've been doing over here. Spin you around. So we have got our kohlrabi all cut into matchsticks. We have got some carrot cut into matchsticks. That's going to be the other vegetable component in as well. What I've got here is my blender, my Nutri Ninja, which is really good for blending. So I'm going to go in with 1 whole onion chopped. This is about 1.5 inches of ginger. I'm also going to go in with some garlic. I'm using my cheating garlic, if I can get the lid off. So I'm just using this garlic out of a jar because it's just a little bit easier. That is, if I can actually get in it. I am having a woeful time with jars and stuff at the moment. There we go. Should have prepped that first. I think my hands are too slippy. No. Oh, come on. Right, what's your trick? Does it bang it on the side? There we go. Yes, bang it on the side. So I'm going to go in with a couple of tablespoons of garlic. So that's probably about 5 cloves of crushed garlic. That's going in there. So also we've got 1/3 of a cup of vegetable stock. Not as intense a stock as I had in the pan because it wasn't, because the one in the pan is quite intense, so I didn't want to use this one that was as intense. Then more salt. So this time 3 teaspoons of salt, but remember we're making a lot of kimchi, so don't be afraid. Now I'm going to blend this all up. I'll be back in a sec. We have had this salting now for over 2 hours, so the next mission is to rinse it really, really, really well. So I've got my colander set up by the sink. What we're going to start doing first is just going in and filling the bowl with water and just swishing it round, and then we will pour it into the colander and then empty it back out and then do this again. I'm probably going to do this about 5 or 6 times to make sure that we have got the majority of the water off. So I'm going to do that, give it a good swish, get all the bits down from the side, swish really well, and then straight into the colander. And then go again. So doing that a good few times. We've got our drained cabbage, our carrot, our kohlrabi. I've got my sauce that I have blended together with the thickened vegetable stock. I'm now going to add my gochujang paste to the vegetable stock mixture, as well as some dried chilies. So in here I've probably got about 3 to 4 tablespoons of gochujang, so I'm going to go in with that. And then dried chilies. How far do I go with these? So it would be about half a cup of hot pepper flakes, which is the gochugaru. I'm not sure whether we can take quite that much heat of these chilies, so I'm probably going to go in with a good tablespoon of these chilies and then give it a taste and see where we're up to. Okay, paste is done. There we go. I'm going to give that a little... Oh, that's delicious. It's a little bit spicy, but once it's mixed in with all this, I think the spice will disappear. So I'm going in with that. I did have gloves. I've used them all up. So I'm going in with the one hand to make sure that we've got it covered, and I've got a clean hand just in case. Now, according to Manji, she says that you can put this in the fridge and it'll be ready in about 2 weeks. If you leave it on the side, then it's going to ferment within 2 days, and that should be fine. Now, I am lucky enough that I have been lent a fermenting jar. So this is my fermenting jar, which I have cleaned, been through the dishwasher. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to decant mine into here. In fact, I'm going to do that over the jar in case I spill it, over the container. So dump all that in. Now, if I do have any left, I will be just putting it in a container and putting it in the fridge. The majority of this I'm going to put in here, and we're going to go on the side in the kitchen for a couple of days so that we can then test it after a couple of days. Once it's been on the side for a couple of days, you want to put it in the fridge. Oh, I think I might be able to fit it all in, because it will still ferment, but it'll ferment a lot slower in the fridge. Now, this jar has got special vents in it. There we go. Just make sure that is all nicely submerged. There's a little bit left. I will put that, maybe I can fit it in. I think I'm going to give it a squash and a squeeze and fit it in. They have got fermenting like vents in them, but if you've not got a jar like this, if you put it in just a sealed container, but just make sure you take the lid off at least twice a day, just to make sure that any fermenting carbon dioxide or anything like that that's coming out has an opportunity to vent. Otherwise, it is not going to end particularly well. So that's that. So I've got one very mucky hand, one jar that needs a good clean. There's my mucky hand, there's my jar. I'm going to give this a good wipe, pop the lid on, and we'll give it a go in a couple of days. Bit of a nightmare. For some reason, when writing down all my instructions on my piece of paper, I completely forgot and missed there was meant to be Asian pear in this. Now, because I've not got Asian pear, which is not surprising, I just completely brain fart, blip, whatever. So I've just dumped all of this back out again, and I've blended some apple instead, which is what I've got. So that apple is going to get mixed with this and go back in my jar, and then we're going to count our 2 days. We are on day 3 of the kimchi fermentation, and this is the time I'm going to taste it. If you can hear bubbling in the background, I've got some noodles on. I'm going to have those with some of this kimchi. I'm going to try it straight up as well. You can see here the bubbles that have formed that are showing fermentation, which is great. So I am going to pop this top and we're going to get our first taste. I'm quite excited about this. So here we go. Whoop! Sorry, that's me knocking you as usual. I'm going to have a sniff. That smells, it's got the very, very slightly sour smell. So let's dig in here and have a try. Okay, I'm going to be on camera for this. I'm going to be good. Okay, you ready? That is slightly spicy, slightly sour, still crunchy. It's got a lingering, you can taste the ginger in the background. That is really delicious. That is really good. I'm quite proud of that. I know I'm going to put it in the fridge now and it will continue to ferment, but with it being in the fridge, it'll be at a much, much lower rate. This will be gone in a few weeks and it will last for a good few weeks. Although I have been watching things about kimchi and people will keep it for up to a year. Obviously the flavour changes and develops and gets more sour over that time. Now I'm going to put it in with my noodles, but you don't want to cook it, like really, really heat it through, because you'll destroy all that bacteria that's grown in there that's really good for you, all those gut-friendly bacteria. So I'm going to have it with my noodles, and yes, I'm going to grate some cheese on top as well, because that is a thing. You are allowed to do that. I've seen it in Korean bloggers who have done this, and it's absolutely fine to have cheese with your noodles and your kimchi. So that is what I'm going to have for my lunch. Thank you for watching this experimentation video. I hope you enjoyed it. Have you made kimchi before? Next possibility is sauerkraut, because I quite like that as well. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Here we go. Kimchi in with my noodles. Delicious. And don't forget the cheese.